AI is eating the steel industry's electricity. What do I mean by that? Well, as you are well aware, there are data centers going up all around the United States that are being built with steel, with millions of tons of steel. So they have to have the steel mills produce the steel to make the data centers. But because the data centers are pulling so much electricity, it's forcing the steel mills and the very steel plants that are making the steel for the data centers, in some cases to be paying double the amount of cost for the electricity that they would normally pay. And the problem then is, what does a steel plant do when one of its fixed costs is the cost of electricity to actually run the facility starts to go up to the point of double, which is a fixed line item on their spreadsheet. And they have to figure out what to do with those costs. Do they lay people off? Do they increase the prices? Are you and I going to pay those increases? This is a bit of an issue. And so I thought in this video, we dive into this a little bit today. So as some of you may have guessed, I am from the steel industry. I started when I was, earlier than college in 1985 in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I have been in the steel industry ever since. And one of my first mill visits ever was to an electric arc furnace steel mill called Nucor in Crawfordsville, Indiana. And mills I had seen before this were large integrated mills with coal and coke and iron ore, huge, massive, almost little cities amongst themselves. Nucor was the first mill I'd ever seen that was that small and was cranking out that much steel. And they were doing it basically by taking scrap metal and melting it down. Other very specific little technical things going on, but a really cool steelmaking process. Here's the key: electric arc furnace. So it took electricity to run it, which by and large seems like it would be a cleaner form of fuel, right? It's not coal, it makes sense. Except suddenly the problem is now we've got AI. And in order to have AI be effective, and by the way, all of us, including me, are using AI now, whether it's Claude or ChatGPT or Copilot, Gemini, whatever your AI of choice is, somebody's got to have electricity cranking through it to actually give us back the data we want, right? That's not free. And as I'm sure you're aware, there are multiple battles in multiple states about where these data centers are going to go because nobody wants their electricity costs to go up. Yet without the data centers grinding through all the data we're asking it to come back to us with, AI doesn't work. And you know how us humans are. Once we have it, we want it more, right? Once we have the phone, we want more. Once we have this, you get the point. We're not going back to not having AI. And to sort of feed that need, feed that desire of all of us, the companies are figuring out they have to build data centers with which to house all this equipment. Most of those data centers are going to use steel to the tune of, I think, about 1 million tons a year. I think I've got that information correct, which is enormous. And they're asking the steel industry, certainly in the United States, to provide and produce that material so they can make these buildings. But the problem is, once those buildings are created, they're going to be pulling so much electricity to be able to, dive through all that data that it makes everyone else's electricity costs go up. Now, again, imagine you're a steel mill. Imagine you're a steel service center, a processing center, whatever kind of facility you have. Your entire operation works because you flip the switch and turn the power on, right? And then the power runs. Well, most of us, very small business owners who don't own equipment, and I don't own equipment, don't have to worry about that. We simply turn the lights on in our house and the lights work. We go to an office, turn the lights on. But what if you're in a facility that has all sorts of working equipment within it? And that equipment has to be powered by electric. Well, you're going to, as a manager or a business owner, look at the monthly numbers and know you have your fixed costs, and electricity or power, utilities, is one of those costs. And every month, you should be paying about this. And then you build the rest of your business model and your profit and loss and your employees around it. What if that number, and by the way, I've been, my dad owned a service center and I've worked with it in the service centers. I know how much those costs can be. And when you have a fixed number, everything else is built around it. But when that number changes dramatically, it throws everything off, including, shall we hire 7 more people this month? Shall we expand our business? Shall we shall we give bonuses this year? Well, if you suddenly are looking at a line item that is doubled and it doubles over a 12-month period, that money's coming out of somewhere. It's coming out of somebody's pocket. So now, as the business, what do? Do you not hire the people? Do you cut back on some part of the business? Or, which is my suspicion what's going to happen, do you try to pass on the price increase? Well, who pays the price increase? You and me. Why? Because they're going to eventually make cars with it, or they're going to make, appliances with it, or they're going to make, furniture with it, et cetera, et cetera. All the stuff you and I go out and buy all the time. What happens when the car price doubles? Because the electricity price doubled, because the steel price had to go up. And we start complaining, why is inflation going up? And it traces all back to the AI's need to build data centers and pulls electricity. This is happening a lot more subtly, I think, than any of us are aware of. Where I sort of got the idea to make the video was a very recent Wall Street Journal article, which was absolutely fascinating. I'll try to remember to link it if I can here in the notes. And I picked up on it because, again, I'm in the steel business. And I thought, I had never really considered that to be a legitimate problem. Utilities are a fixed cost number. They're a fixed line item number. And then I went, you know what? You're right. That's why every state, it seems like, is complaining and does not want the data centers in their homes because nobody in those communities wants to pay double their utility bills. Nobody can afford it. Yet, we all want AI. So, what do? Put AI in space? Can have nuclear reactors running this stuff? I'm not that smart. I don't know the answer to that question, but I can tell you that something is amiss, and it's going to get more interesting as it goes. Do pay attention to this. It very well may get to a point where it's affecting you personally. Anyway, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you're interested, please subscribe. Let the algorithm know that I'm here, and look for me to make more of these videos. Come back for more. We'll see you soon.